Here's our chance to start to walk her through this information, to make what you just read about a verbal video. These concepts of the verbal video are, in my opinion, one of the most important things that you can take away from this particular chapter of our book, which is walking the client through exactly how far they went on a particular plan gives you a tremendous insight into the reflected intent of how close were they to pulling the trigger on that particular night. I'm often asked by people, how do you sort of set the stage for that verbal video? Because what you're going to do is you're going to walk them through, remember step by step with behavioral incidents from Gerald Pascal. The same thing that might be called a chain analysis in DBT or a behavioral analysis in CBT. But to get that thing going well, there is sort of a setup that I like to do. So let's look at a slide. When we take a look at this slide, it gives sort of what I found to be a useful approach to setting up my verbal videos. Anytime a client provides for me either spontaneously or in response to one of my questions a new way that they haven't shared with me before that they're thinking or have thought of killing themselves, obviously I'm going to want to make a verbal video of the extent of action and plan and taking on that. So the very first thing I do that I find useful is I call it the method in hand question. Let's say I use a shame attenuation and I say, with all of your pain, have you been having any thoughts of killing yourself, Amy? And she'd say, yeah, I have. And I said, well, what have you thought of doing? And Amy might say, I've thought of overdosing. Well, whatever the method is that the client shares with us, then the method in hand question is so easy to remember. I just simply say, geez, have you ever gotten pills out in your hand while you were having thoughts of overdosing? So that sort of sets the stage. And then if you recall way back from chapter 5 on our validity techniques, do you remember those things, anchor points or anchor questions? Developed by a cognitive behavioral therapist. It's an idea that if you want to really stimulate a memory bank for a person, make sure they're anchored into an exact moment in time. And so you might want to anchor them as to the time of the event and where they were. I often do that in setting the stage for my verbal video. So if she said, I've thought of overdosing, I said, have you ever gotten the pills out while you're having thoughts of overdosing? And she said, yes. I'd say, geez, when was the last time that happened for you? And then I'd follow it up after she told me that, oh, where were you? And she might say, I was in my bedroom, contemplating overdosing. My husband was out of town, etc. The fourth step of the verbal video, I like to sort of help the patient to feel very comfortable sharing what happened that night and my recognition to them that this is difficult material. I mean, you're basically sharing highly intimate material about how they were thinking of killing themselves. And I call it sort of a summarizing invitation of sorts. I might turn to them and say, Amy, help me to understand better what happened to you that night. Sounds like it was a very scary time for you. So you were in the bathroom, you had the pills out in your hand. Sort of walk me through it step by step. What happened next? And then, boom, you've started your verbal video. So let's take a look at Amy and see how a clinician, in this case obviously myself, is going to be setting the stage for these verbal videos and then starting to walk them through. By the way, you'll be making verbal videos throughout the case approach. Anytime a patient provides you with a new method that you'd not heard of before, you would always want to find out the extent of the action. So you set the stage for the verbal video and then you let it unfold. Now, at any point in time, Amy, did you actually take some of those pills out in your hand, thinking about actually overdosing?
Yeah.
Okay. And when was that?
It was about 3 weeks ago, I think.
Okay. So you were up at this cabin?
Oh, no, I was at home.
Oh, okay.
I was at home. I was in the bathroom.
Oh, okay. So, help me to sort of understand. That sounds like a rough night. Help me to understand what you actually experienced that night. So you're in your house and you've got the pills out and you're standing in the bathroom, and what happened next? Sort of walk me through it.
I was just overwhelmed that night, and so I was in the bathroom and I took out about 10 pills, I think. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten myself a glass of water, and I was holding the pills and trying to decide if I was going to swallow them. And,
and what was sort of going through your mind while you're standing there in that bathroom with those pills sitting there? And you actually had them in your hand, right? Some of them. Yeah. What was going through your mind?
I was trying to figure out whether this was really the right way to do this. I mean, I have a plan.
You mean the thing up at the the cabin.
Yeah, the thing up at the cabin, and that would probably work, I'm thinking.